Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of el Internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by we the people, created by you, now controlled by the billionaires as they attempt to control our every being, which again, of course, we will not allow because we will fight back. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the geniuses in the studio. We have El Señor Howard Reynolds, Jacques Van Bever, and Mayana. ¿Cómo estás? Buenos días. Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing?
Buenos días.
Good morning,
Buenos.
Egberto. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing out there on a Monday morning? A dangerous Monday
it's
morning.
a Monday. Believe
Yes,
me, it feels like a Monday.
Yes, it's a Monday. You know, I hope you had a good weekend.
Yes, it was all right.
Yeah,
Good.
the weekend was good.
Did some work.
Good. Talk to me.
Okay. Good morning, Egberto. Yes, we cannot allow ourselves to be dragged in to another Middle East war based on lies. So mothers, don't let your babies fight wars for the wealthy. Don't let them shoot people and scorch their sweet earth. Let them love freely and bless Mother Earth. Please.
I agree wholeheartedly. That actually sounded poetic, man.
I thought the same thing.
You thought the same thing, right? You know,
I did. I was like, oh, say it.
that sounded poetic, and it's so true. And you know what, Jack? I am starting with that one, man. I'm going to start with that. But beforehand, anything else? Hey, where's Brother Howard? Is he in that cubby hole doing his thing?
Yes, he's secluded in his lair, very comfortable there,
okay.
and he's doing work. So,
yeah, well, that's good. That's good. Let's talk about this war because, folks, we are in fact at war. You know, look, history. People say history is repeating itself. I beg to differ. This isn't. You see. One of the things that happens in our society, a society that no longer treats geography as it should, a society that doesn't teach government as it should, a society that doesn't teach civics as it should. We get into a whole lot of problems because the population at large don't understand the severity of what we do overseas. You know, I remember when I was back in school in Panama, how we learned the world, right? Of course, the United States was the superpower. It was in a bipolar superpower system. Of course, there's just United States and then what was known as the Soviet Union. Of course, the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. But of course, we learned and they made sure that we understood not only the United States, but how it was structured, the Soviet Union and how it was structured. And then, of course, we had to learn about every single country in the world. That's what our history and geography looked like. And what it did is it made sure that we had a rounded view of the entire world, and we understood the different cultures, and we understood while we may not have been connoisseurs of World War II, then we learned these issues, so we understood it. But now, I think that the prototypical way to think of where we are as a country as far as the respect that we give the rest of the world. And I hate to give Tucker Carlson kudos, but I must. Is what Tucker Carlson did to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is a renowned senator a very intelligent guy. Let's not doubt that because we don't like a person, they're not intelligent. Ted Cruz is a very intelligent man. No doubt whatsoever. Ted Cruz went to some of our best schools. No doubt about it. But at the same time, with all that knowledge, with all that, with being a darn good, I think he's a lawyer, what he does, his ignorance about Iran, his ignorance says much about what implied ignorance. What this is deeper than manufactured ignorance. This is deeper than any form of the ignorance there is. But the fact that he knew so little about the country he was supporting to be bombed, attacked, the little he knew about it says much. The fact that when we talk about Iraq and Iran, that most people believe that they are similar. Most people believe that, in as much as Iraq went bad, there weren't a lot of repercussions, etc. The difference in those two societies are huge. The history of Iran points out one of the reasons. If you want to know why Israel so want to take out Iran, and by the way, I am not a proponent of Iran. I want to get that off the top right away. I'm not a proponent of Iran. I'm not someone who thinks Iran is some great. From a democratic point of view, Iran is some good power, or that it is nice. I don't give a damn about any of that. That's not the issue. That is not the issue. If Iran is good, or because let's be honest right here. All right, if we look at who's killing people around the world, who's killing women and children, who are doing all these things we so fear Iran is going to do around the world, it's not Iran doing that. It's not China doing that. If we are measuring the goodness of a nation in the amount of people it has killed or has the propensity to kill, if that is what we're judging the world by, who is inflicting death on other people, Iran is far down the list. And you can say, but don't they effect terrorist attack with Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and all of that? Possibly. But let's look. Let's look at all the killings of Hamas, Hezbollah. And by the way, this is not condoning. Killing is evil. Killing of another human being is evil, especially when it's about civilians and not about war. But let's look at the body count to determine who is evil, who's not, who has a propensity to kill, who's not, who has a heart, who has a soul. Or, well, forget that I said that. It's heart and soul doesn't play a part here. But who's killing, folks? Let's not put on the colored glasses that if you're listening to Morning Joe right now, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon that says, oh, this was a successful mission. And some people, even because everybody wants to win, they're jumping on this bandwagon. Hey, the missiles went in. Well, I can tell you something. I can tell you this. I could possibly bet, well, I'll only bet a fingernail because I don't know, right? But I could probably bet a fingernail that we've spent over $1 billion on this exercise to put bombs in holes that probably didn't destroy an ounce of that enriched uranium. You see, we when you think you are so damn smart, when you underestimate the adversary, you do stupid things like we did in Iraq. Okay, 4,000 something Americans died, and 32,000 maimed American soldiers. I mean, so a total of over 40,000 people whose lives have changed forever. But more importantly, as well, 500,000 innocent Iraqis died. Again, body count, death, destruction. Migrating this to Gaza. What country is maiming and causing the death, killing, and destruction of more people? Iran? Israel? The United States? Russia? China? Well, we take a look at the body counts right now. We're looking at Russia, Israel, and the United States. Don't take my word for it. Go look up the body counts and include all terrorism occurring around the world. Look, again, you have to look at things through your own eyes, not what people are telling you to think or believe. So that's the first concept, body count. Look at body count. Just by ourselves in 1989, to get one person, we killed 10,000 Panamanians, place where I'm from. Body counts for others many times don't matter, but the blowback from said body count, it put all our lives, all American lives in danger. So sing glory, glory, hallelujah for those who want to sing glory, glory, hallelujah, because bombs hit many areas in the mountainous desert in Iran, and no American airplane, thankfully, got shot down. Sing glory, glory, hallelujah. But the truth of the matter is, the blowback is a lot. It's likely not going to get a lot of American soldiers killed, because Iran knows, when you came in here, there are probably 20 to 40 Israelis with the missile attacks that actually lost their lives right now. But several hundred Iranians have already lost their lives for the preemptive war, the war that Israel started in Iran. And then we all talk about the reason we're doing this is because Iran may get a bomb. Well, look, I don't believe in nuclear bombs. I think all countries should get rid of all their nuclear bombs. There's nothing good that comes out of a nuclear bomb. But in a world with nuclear bombs, the one thing that we know, if you don't want to be messed with, develop a few nuclear bombs, develop the technology to launch those nuclear bombs, and people leave you the hell alone. Ask Kim Jong-il of North Korea, the pariah state that we talk about. But you know what? The man developed a bomb, showed that it worked. He tested ballistic missiles to show that they knew how to do it. He never has to worry about launching that ballistic missile. He never has to worry about using that bomb. Why? Because we don't know where it would go. One may look at Iran and say, look, Israel, with the backing of the great power of the United States, has purportedly between 80 and 400 nuclear bombs. Nobody's talking about that. Israel never signed a non-proliferation treaty. Nobody's talking about that. Israel don't allow people to come and inspect the nuclear bombs. Nobody's talking about that. The aggressor in the Middle East, the only country that has killed hundreds of thousands of people over the last 2 decades, is not one of these countries we are calling the evil folk. That's not the country that I am just and by the way, this has nothing to do with Jews. This has everything to do with Israel, a country. Tucker Carlson said it best when Cruz said, well, the Bible commands us to go ahead and attack Israel's enemies. And Tucker Carlson said, I read the Bible too. Are you talking about the Israeli government? Or are you talking about Israel, the people of Israel? Not a location, but a people. And Ted Cruz looked like a mumbling buffoon as he answered that question. Folks, our inability, first of all, a mainstream media that is out there, not enlightening you, but making you dumb. A mainstream media that it's not only making it dumb, it disrespects you. It disrespects you by not pointing out the differences between Iran and Iraq as a very advanced society. If anybody doubt these guys, whether these guys can build a bomb already, I always thought it was comical, right? Because here everybody's talking about Fordo. That's a big, deep, half a mile deep bunker that where resides all these, the centrifuges, etc. Let me tell you a dirty little secret. Look, I am just a common engineer out there. That's all I know. But I tell you what, you don't have to put all these centrifuges in safe locations, deep under the rocks in the mountains of Iran. You can put those bomb things anywhere. You can put a couple of centrifuges on farm number 1, put another 2 centrifuges on farm number 2, put another centrifuge on farm number 3, put a lab on farm number 4, put another lab. Look, if you think that the Iranians, knowing that everybody is looking straight down at Fordo and the other nuclear areas, do you honestly think that they're just going to allow themselves to be sitting ducks to the United States mega 30-ton bomb? Do you really think that? So we launched likely $1 billion mission to Iran, and we put 14 bunker buster 30,000 pound bombs. I don't even know how much it costs. Let's see. How much does the 30,000 bunker bombs cost? How much does that cost, folks? It behooves you to understand what we have done. Now, Bernie Sanders is up in arms, and justifiably so. Bernie Sanders says, from an article in the Common Dreams, while the number of statements by member of Congress in the wake of U.S. President Donald Trump's bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities focus largely on the fact that the White House acted without congressional authorization, a constitutional violation, U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders expressed anger over another aspect of unilateral military action, the lies that the Trump administration is telling the public to justify the bombing. And I shouldn't really have to say this, but in these times where people like to throw out anti-Semitism for anybody who dissents to the genocidal Netanyahu and his IDF. Brother Bernie Sanders is our Jewish brother. So, I think he understands what he's saying here. Nobody can accuse him of anti-Semitism. I try not to talk too much about the subject because of many times it's like, well, how do I say this? And folks are underscored. I mean, my Jewish friends have given me carte blanche to say the things that I say, but I still I still am careful because this is not a Jewish thing. This is a genocidal Israeli government that's doing these things with the support of a president of the United States. The White House act of war against Iran, said the Vermont independent senator, was just the latest in a long line of military boondoggles that followed lies powerful politicians told about the threats posed by foreign countries before taking action that ultimately killed millions of people while doing nothing to protect the United States' security. In the 1960s, the United States government lied to the American people and took us into a terrible war in Vietnam. Sanders said that result of that war was that 58,000 young Americans died and many more came back wounded, both in mind and in spirit. Millions of Vietnamese were also killed. Decades later, America were told by then President George W. Bush that the U.S. must act quickly to stop Iraq from building weapons of mass destruction, with U.S. officials following the guidance of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The United States invaded Iraq and became embroiled in a long civil war there. No weapons of mass destruction were ever found. That war was based on a lie which cost us 4,492 young Americans, 32,000 wounded, over 500,000 Iraqis, and trillions of dollars, said Sanders. The American people are being lied to again, he added. We cannot allow history to repeat itself. U.S. intelligence agencies have assessed, including Kelsey, the secretary of the DNI, the director of intelligence. U.S. intelligence, Kelsey, I can't forget her first name. U.S. intelligence agencies have assessed that Iran is not attempting to build a nuclear weapon, with its enriched uranium stockpiles backing up repeated statements from Iranian officials who said that the country's nuclear program is used only for peaceful civilian purposes. Look, they probably don't intend to build a bomb, but they probably want to make sure they have all the pieces together. This is me saying this because I think it's in their national interest to be able to protect themselves, right? Know how to do it. You know how to do it. And if you have to do it, you do it, you know? Sanders' statement came several hours after he learned, while speaking at a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that Trump had bombed Iran, authorizing strikes on 3 nuclear facilities, which Iranian officials condemn as a violation of international law, which it is. Suppose Iran said, well, we fear the United States is going to use an atomic bomb on us. So we preemptively go to New Mexico and we go to Tennessee and we go to all these different areas where our nuclear industry enriches, manufactures, remanufactures nuclear weapons. Would they be in their rights to say that? After all, they could go out there and for their justification, they could say, wait a minute, Israel preemptively attack Iran with the United States because they think Iran is building a bomb, and they think if Iran developed a bomb, they would use it. They didn't say they would preemptively use it. They said they would use it. Well, if some other country were to say, well, we see the Americans continue to have a large stockpile of nuclear bombs. They don't have to say, we think they will use that nuclear weapon. Because we know that the United States used the nuclear weapon before on human beings. And they used it under the pretext that we are using this bomb so that hundreds of thousands of Americans don't have to die fighting the Japanese in World War II. That's why we're using this bomb, to save American lives. Well, let me see. If some other country says, we are using this bomb to save our lives because we know, and we don't only think, we know that the country, the United States, is willing to use the bomb if they believe that it'll save American lives. I want folks to start thinking why peace is so important, why honesty is so important, and why it is that in America we don't want people critically thinking. Because if we start to think critically, 4% of the population we are, there are a lot more people out there that aren't us. If we start to think critically, we will actually see and come to one particular conclusion. Peace is a lot more advantageous, and your society can move a lot further if you're doing peaceful things. I'm going to end this soliloquy with a few notions here. Important notions. I want you to think about all the things we have been doing around the world. And let's start now and move backwards. One of the things the rest of the world sees is we have cut USAID. For some reason, we think that we are the country that is the only country helping other people around the world. We're not, right? But the one thing that we could show, our farmers are saving the world. Our farmers are doing great things. Our American ingenuity is doing good around the world. USAID was a part of that. USAID was a part of that. And what did we do? We just about canceled USAID. Okay? We can look at, the last big events that we've done around the world have been to intervene. Since 1989, invasion of Panama killed a lot of people. The threat of the boycott of Venezuela, boycott of Cuba, the events that we do in Africa that nobody knows about, Burkina Faso and all these other countries. We don't hear about it because our media doesn't tell us about it. We are not seen as that country to go look at to have an investment in, because we only invest if we can see that our capitalists make a bunch of money by doing something in country X, Y, or Z. And there are countries using other models and showing that for some reason, as opposed to us doing the right thing, because if we did the right thing, how great it would be. Instead, we're making the country that has the most goodwill around the world right now be a country building roads and bridges. And yeah, believe me, they know what they're doing. They're building ports. And if you go to their major cities in their own country, how they're flourishing, how they're integrating with other countries, I can tell you firsthand in Panama, right? While we are bombing, China is building. Who do you think is going to generate the goodwill of people? Look, democracy, I love democracy. I adore democracy. But what we are doing around the world ain't democracy. In fact, what we are doing in our country right now ain't democracy. Keeping a people uninformed ain't democracy. Having a people bringing up the worst out of people by promoting sexism, racism, homophobia, xenophobia, that ain't democracy. We have a lot to atone for. And we have some of the worst leaders in the world. Because so much has been, we are blessed to have so much, both in natural resources, inbound, ingrown. And what we do and what we are doing is squandering it when we could be the flower of the world. Let's go to line 1. Johnny, come on in.
You know, when you talk about them canceling USAID, I thought also about the Peace Corps. Now, I don't know if he's thought about canceling it or if he's already canceled the Peace Corps or defunded it or whatever, but he didn't even have to do that because with Republican influence, we infiltrated the Peace Corps with spies. Great going. That's great when that news gets out, huh? Just like when you find out that Mother Teresa and the Dalai Lama both have taken money from the CIA. When you hear that, it's like seeing your mother and father fighting. It feels so gut-wrenching. Speaking of gut-wrenching, you know what I need? You know what Magic Jack and I need? We need a nuclear buster bunker-sized cream-filled donut. That's what we need instead of nuclear weapons. And by the way, Ted Cruz, you mentioned Ted Cruz. He looks so stupid. You know what else he looked like? He looks like he's had one too many cream-filled donuts. The fat off the back of his neck hanging over his shirt collar. You are so right. We have so many of the wrong people running things around here. I said that from day one. I think from the very first time I spoke to you on KPFT airwaves. The wrong people are running the show. Give me $1 billion and some time, and I would straighten this country out. Jesus Christ! And the irony,
yeah, go ahead.
Irony of them saying, "Oh, we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon," because they're implying that they're afraid of nuclear detonation and proliferation. And all. But what do? We test nuclear weapons above ground, below ground. Under Barack Obama now, we've gotten more money dedicated to expanding out and updating our nuclear arsenal in the Asian fleet. What the hell's wrong with us? And we have the audacity to then take nuclear buster bunker type bombs over another country to expose their nuclear material to the winds. The Iranian people are smart. They had their things underground. So if something goes south, guess what? Less damage to the rest of the world. I call that respectful and smart. I know they got engineers that studied in America and they use the smarts they learned. But what do? We have nuclear power plants on earthquake fault lines and Fukushima and Chernobyl. We don't learn. All the wrong people are in charge. Go ahead. Cancel Peace Corps. What does it matter at this point?
Thank you, my brother. Have a good one, Johnny. Before I go to Donald, I want to say welcome aboard, Joe from Los Angeles, California. Robin Wright says buenos dias, Joe. Lee Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see who else we got. Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. And by the way, guys, I started up the chat on Substack late, so all the folks in there, just welcome to the program. Let's go to Brother Donald.
Hey, good morning, Egberto. Well, you know, this is kind of like, Libya and Omar Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein and Iraq and Iran. And, okay, well, at least they're not hurting the oil. See, you got to realize that the oil is the problem because they're not buying our oil if they can buy Iran's oil or Iraq's oil or anything else, because then they can sell it directly to Russia or China or any of these people. See, you got to understand the whole thing. This is not about peace. It's about money. It's just like with the Gaza Strip is all about, they want them out so they can make their resort and their hotels and just make it a nice little thing. They don't care how the result is. All they care about is the end result and how it's going to generate money. And this is what it all boils down to. You can try to build a utopia on this beautiful world that we live in, but it ain't never going to happen.
Let me just say,
you got evil.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Let me just come back here. Look, we've had spurts of goodness, right? And the spurts of goodness is generally overridden by what we do to make people less knowledgeable. And what we have had, you have to remember in the 60s how things were coming. People started to get smart. They started to understand the reality about Vietnam. They started to understand all these other realities. And when we got the new, I forgot the name of the party they used to call it, but the Know Nothings, right? When we get the folks that are following the Know Nothing methodologies, the idea of burning books, the idea of making people's carnality resurface, the idea of critical thinking, preventing them from critically thinking, the idea of letting people forget that government is we the people, as opposed to that other thing that does the government. No, whenever you disparage the government, you're disparaging yourself. Government is we the people, right? We have to reinstitute that in there. And we were getting there, but then we got the Powell memo. The Powell memo was the biggest attack on us getting smarter, on us doing the right things. Because, and I use the Powell memo as the prescient document, because that is where folks realized they had to infiltrate everything: the churches, the schools, the infiltration of the entire system to keep people dumb. And unfortunately, to some extent, there is some success in it. But you know what? We still have a nominal democracy. And personally, I intend to use it to try our best to do what we started to do beyond the 50s and the 60s, etc., and bring it back. So I hear you, brother. You are absolutely right. I want to enhance something else that you said. You said it's about money. It's about the oil. In fact, Iran was a good friend of the United States and Great Britain. We'll back up on until the 50s, until Mossadegh decided, and Americans, we don't know these stories generally, they don't tell you. Iran was one of our great friends. In fact, Iran was also one of the first countries in the areas to recognize Israel as a country when Israel was. We don't have to go into the politics of Israel, the formation of Israel, but they were supporters. They were a part of, America loved them. America loved them as long as they could, and Great Britain, as long as they could pilfer the oil, which is what they were doing. Mossadegh comes and says, I'm nationalizing the oil industry. Look, we are giving away our natural resources for pennies on the dollar. We are a rich country. We need to act like a rich country. And that is when we went south on Iran. That is when we went south on Iran, overthrew him, imposed the Shah of Iran, and then it was downhill from there. Americans need to know the truth. They don't tell you that. And that society it's a rich society. But continue, Donald.
No, that's the point. I'm telling you, when somebody does right in the do right moment, we are there to topple them, whether it's plausible deniability or whatever else they want to sell the American public. And with Fahrenheit 451, you ain't got to burn the books. You just give these morons a phone that they can run around looking at garbage all day long, and they won't even go to the book. You don't even have to burn the book. You just give them stupid stuff so they can look at all day, and they become dumber and dumber. So, yeah, we got a long road to hoe, but it starts with our kids. And thank you for what you do, sir. And
thank you,
that
brother.
is the key, is when they can't have their way, because it's easier to deal with a dictator than it is with a group as a whole. So if you can put one person in power, you can make the deals you want. And that's why they want them having all these cars and all these princes with all these, mansions and all the other stuff, palaces, because it's easier to go to him and make a deal for his oil. But when you start giving out money and doing right with it, they will topple you. And that's it.
Thank you, brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, let's go to Brother Bruce. Come on in, Bruce. We'll be with you in a second, brother Bruce. Let's see.
morning.
Yeah, you're on. You're on,
Good morning.
Bruce.
Yeah, and the last caller was right. When I watched Donald Trump play acting, I say play acting because he was trying to pretend he's some wise old owl looking at all his options. He knew before he ran for president he was going to bomb Iran and open Pandora's box. The only meetings he had was to decide where, when, and how. He just play acting. The second thing is, well, I agree with you 100% about empathy. My empathy is starting to wear thin because the more MAGAs I talk to, the more I realize they're not that ignorant. They're evil. They know Don's a doofus, but he's a doofus that has the same pipe dream as them of getting people that don't look like them off the street. So I used to think that they existed because of Fox News. The opposite is true. Fox News exists because of them. Donald Trump exists because of them. I'm going to finish with a positive note. I don't have to worry about that possum in my backyard anymore. Last night I saw the skeeters fly off with him. I found a skeleton this morning. I'm done. Bye.
All right. Thank you, brother Bruce. That was a good one. That was a good one. But by the way, was it really a skeleton? Was that really that possum skeleton? All right. Brian, come on in.
Yes, good morning. I hope everyone had a good weekend.
Well, no, actually, I had a terrible weekend. When I am watching my country make a huge mistake, when I'm watching my country completely waste our dollars on something that is worthless, it wasn't a good weekend. In fact, before you start, and I'm going to give you your time, before you start, every weekend I have a program called, Ask Egberto Anything for our supporters. And the attack came just before I did the program, or the word of the attack. I got the word of the attack just before the program, and I tell you, it is one place where it had such an effect on me. I couldn't effectively think for a while. But go ahead, brother Brian, talk to me.
Well, no, that was the correct decision for him to take out the nuclear weapons facilities that Iran was attempting to produce. It was a correct decision.
Okay.
And
why?
Ask me why.
Why? Why is it? Yeah.
Okay. How about death to America? How many generations have grown up saying death to America, death to Israel? Who's the great Satan? Why does Saudi Arabia hate Iran so much? Why do they hate him so much?
Okay.
Talk about individual freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
There is no individual freedom in Iran. You have to answer to a Shah. Okay, not to a Shah. You have to answer to a religious person that wants to kill you if you do not answer correctly. What was the name of that woman that was shot to death because she was protesting? What was her name? Do you remember?
Okay. No, I don't. But let me ask you a question now.
She was shot to death.
Okay, you made your point.
Shot to death.
Sir, okay, when you say
How
you
many
were
women
shot to
have
death...
had their hair cut off when they're not wearing the hijab?
All right, let me ask you this, sir. You made your point. Are there many other countries where that occurs as well? Yes or no?
Not in that form, no. They don't shoot
really?
women. They don't hang gays. Do we hang gays in the United States? Do we shoot women for not wearing a headdress?
We've actually skinned a few.
Name me another country.
Okay, let me ask you this. Brian, the way you have a dialogue, you stuff, and a lot of people are going to be mad that I give you this much airtime, but let me just tell you why I want to give you some airtime here. You said that we did the right thing to go into Iran and take it out because Iran doesn't treat its people right, and because Iran said death to America. Iran says death to America. So
how many American service members have been killed through the direct action of Iran? How many American citizens have been killed through the direct actions? Oh, it doesn't matter, does it?
Not as many as America has killed with their direct action. You want to debate that? So
yes,
does that give other countries the right to come into America and blow the smithereens out of America? America has killed more people than other people have killed Americans.
No.
That's
That's impossibly wrong.
That's sir.
That is impossibly wrong.
Sir. That's a statement of
That's
fact.
impossibly wrong.
Did America, sir?
No.
That is a statement of fact. I'm not discussing it. It's a statement of fact. America has killed more people around the world than people around the world have killed Americans. That's a numerical statement
What
of
president
fact.
killed Osama bin Laden?
Barack
What
Obama.
president attacked a different country?
All right, this not going anywhere. So we have a good day, brother. Let's go to Tall Boss. Come on in, Tall Boss.
Sir, good morning, my brother.
Good morning, me brother. Come talk to me.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with the Donald a whole lot of times, but if you look at American history, it's been a lot of wars, and war will never stop. Iran is not an American ally. Now, Trump took a preemptive move, and it might be the wrong one. It might be but either way, it's going to be good for America's security because Iran is up to something funny, man. At the end of the day, no one wants to see war. No one wants.
Let me take you there, my brother. Let's talk about that.
Sure.
Let's really look at that because that is what people say. Now let's talk about the reality. Please tell me forget about Western media, what they have told you. How is Iran and what has Iran done that has put the lives of Americans in danger? Remember, America is over here several thousand miles on its own territory. How has Iran put Americans in danger?
Brother, Iran is standing for America, man. All right?
No, answer. But what I'm saying is this. You see,
Iran doesn't have America.
Hold on, brother. Let me ask you this. We have to understand
Obama
this.
gave them $1 billion. And what have they done? $1 billion.
Who told you that again? Who told you that, sir?
Obama made peace and gave them a chunk of money, man.
No. Obama, sir. Again, where did that money come from, sir?
I mean, it's dear, but at the end of the day, that's what happened. We gave them something for them to move forward. They haven't been moving forward. They've been shuffling.
Wait a second. Again, I asked this. Everybody listening here. This is what made. Hold on, tall boss. Hold on, tall boss. Hold on. Folks, this is what media does when you put out one set of information. The money Obama didn't give Iran a penny. Iran got their own money back. That's what it was.
You want it, brother. You can't sit it any way you want it. But we know exactly.
All right, tall boss, I gotta go because again, we can't stick with misinformation. Let's go to tag.
No, I never
said that. Let's go to tag. Let's go to tag. I can't let you do that, brother boss. Can't let you do that.
No. You
go to tag.
What I said. I said Obama gave them back their own money.
All right, let's go to tag. Come on in, tag. Let's see. Tag is coming on. But before tag comes on, folks, that is how powerful misinformation, especially given by the mainstream media, is. You get that narrative. Obama gave $1 billion. Okay, then you admit, okay, that money was theirs. So why is releasing their own money to ask them not to build an atomic bomb and they don't move themselves? Are you kidding me? I think about it, people. Think about it, please. All right, go ahead, tag real quick. We're running out of time now.
Gotcha. Egberto, what happened to the $2 a gallon gas we were going to get?
I don't know. You tell me.
I haven't heard anybody talking about gas prices lately. Well, we bombed Iran, and now gas prices are headed back towards $4 a gallon again. Just what all the OPEC people wanted, So we don't hear any Republicans talking about that, and I think it's very disappointing that we don't look at the one thing that really affects our lives in this thing. Oh yeah, something's happened to Iran. Yeah, it's raising our gas prices, and the Republicans love it. But the other thing I just got to say real quick here, you know how I am. I can get in and out. I love what's happening to Russia because Iran was one of the main armament suppliers to Russia, and now those armaments aren't going to go to Russia to be rained down on Ukraine anymore. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if Ukraine can get a little momentum back against Russia here. So
the one thing
comment, but I'm going to go.
Yeah, Ukraine is a lot more ingenious than Russia. I can tell you that. Look at what they did with those trucks and those drones, those $200 drones. Anyway, come on, Jimmy. Come on in, my dear brother.
Good morning. Iran's not that great of a country. They've executed 335 of their own people this year by firing squad. That's the kind of country they are. And this war was between Iran and Israel, and we should have stayed out of it. I mean, let them solve their own problems. And Netanyahu and Israel, they act like the big bullies over there. They've got Gaza surrounded. People are starving there. When the people line up for food, they're being shot by Israeli soldiers. How crazy is that? How cruel is that?
Jimmy, that is terrible, cruel, etc. And you are absolutely right. And yeah, Iran executing 300 people by firing squad for breaking purportedly what are their laws. You are correct. I don't agree with that. They're killing people. Iran is. How many people did we execute in America by electric chair, lethal injection, etc. again last year?
Maybe 20 or so in a year. I'm not sure, but states are abolishing the death penalty.
Yeah. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is, let's be careful on how we judge other countries and what they do, because remember, we have a history as well, from Jim Crow laws till people taking the killing of innocent Americans in their own country, not necessarily from the police state, but sometimes from people themselves who get off. So, I mean, evil knows no bound, evil knows no country. And what we ought to do is exactly what you do. You were at a great function this weekend that you told me about, where you are trying to make the world a better world. And the world that you're trying to make a better world is right here locally. Locally.
I went to a luncheon Saturday for the Center for the Healing of Racism. It's a great organization. It helps fight racism in our country. I grew up never going to school with a black person through high school or college because of total segregation of black people. That's how bad our country is.
Hey, Jimmy, I'm running out of time to go to Patrick, but I just wanted to highlight what you are doing as a regular American, making a difference. It doesn't have to do with, and the reason you're doing this work is that there was a time that we weren't, or still, that we weren't all that good to all. And you are working to solve that issue. So when we're looking at people around the world, let's also put a mirror against ourselves. But thank you, Jimmy, for always doing the right thing, bro.
No more war. War is hell. Stay out of war.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one, man. Jimmy's a great guy. Let's talk to Patrick. Brother Patrick, how you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, Patrick.
I appreciate the comparison to executions here to executions overseas. Could make it even worse. When our country's going to justify attacking us because we allow our poor to die without health care?
Mm-hmm.
We can make a very, very long list of things like that. We do look like a barbaric society to many people because we are. Everything that we did in World War II could be applied to what Iraq is doing right now, or Iran is doing right now. We also need to understand that our own intelligence said that President Trump was wrong, and that there is no nuclear weapons program there. They're at the first stage of many, many stages, and those stages will change as they are treated the way that they're being treated right now, if they're being attacked, they're going to ramp things up. That's completely defensive. It's within their right. And
Hey, Patrick, I'm leaving you to one subject. Call me at 3:00 because I have one more call and 1 more minute left. So I appreciate you. I talk to you at 3. Okay? Thank you, bro.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Bobby. Bobby, last call.
Hey, good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
Your email on the politicsdoneright.com, but I couldn't find it. I was just curious if you will enter into your AI or any of your AI programs the question, are embalmers finding unusual white fibrous clots in deceased individuals?
Oh, the truth of the matter, Bobby, if I told you I did, I would be lying. So I forgot. But look, my email is easy. kpft@politicsdoneright.com. That'll trigger a task for me to do. So send the email to kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, brother. Peace. I got to get out of here. Anyway, let me throw it back to the studio. You guys know I'm going to throw it back to you guys.
Yeah. Okay. War is a lie for profit.
There you go. Mayana, you got anything to say? Close her off?
No, I was just very disappointed when this all happened. So I don't have much to say.
Well, you know what? It is for us to solve, Mayana. It's for us to solve. Anyway, folks, I want to thank all of you guys for spending the hour with us to listen to us. I ask you to take nothing that I've said at face value. Feel free to research anything that I've said today. It is important that we believe in what we believe. And it is important that we don't fall. Like I've heard a couple of callers fall for the narrative that our media is putting out. It is so hard to counteract that when it occurs. Anyway, love you all. The rest of the program can be found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can write and email me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government